What if everything we've ever clung to about divine judgment, every comforting illusion, every whispered prayer for salvation, was simply a veil? Imagine a truth so stark, so utterly unvarnished, it shattered the heart of even the most unyielding sentinel of faith. A man like Mel Gibson, who poured his soul into portraying Christ's agony. He dared to ask the question we all secretly dread: what happens to all non-believers? And the answer, when it came, wasn't solace. It was a revelation so profound, so devastating, it broke him. It was a truth that will confront you, strip away your preconceived notions, and force you to grapple with a reality far more challenging than any you've ever imagined. Prepare to look into the abyss of a discovery that transforms everything you thought you knew about God's boundless love, His unwavering justice, and your own fragile purpose. We all carry this unspoken weight, don't we? This gnawing anxiety that settles deep in the quiet moments for those we love who walk a different path. I've felt it myself, that cold knot of fear tightening in my chest when a loved one, a truly kind and brilliant soul, confesses they see no God, no guiding hand, no ultimate purpose beyond this fleeting existence. It strips away every comforting illusion, every whispered prayer for their salvation I've ever uttered. What happens to them? Does their goodness count for nothing? Does every shared laugh, every moment of genuine connection, lead to an eternity of separation, a desolate void that defies the very concept of love? This question, raw and unsettling, haunts my quiet moments, shaking the very foundations of what I thought I knew about divine justice and boundless mercy. Perhaps you've felt it too, this terrifying silence in the face of such profound uncertainty. We cling to comforting illusions, don't we? Every whispered prayer for salvation, every well-rehearsed theological explanation, sometimes feels like a flimsy veil we pull over a truth we secretly dread. What if everything we've ever clung to about divine judgment, every comforting narrative, was simply that, a veil? I've wrestled with this, my heart aching for a compassionate assurance, yet often finding only a chasm of uncertainty. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? To consider that the reality awaiting those we cherish, those who don't believe, might be far more challenging, far more stark, than any we've dared to imagine, forcing us to grapple with an abyss of discovery. This is the question that truly breaks us, the one we bury beneath layers of faith and hope. It's the very question a man like Mel Gibson, whose soul has poured into portraying Christ's agony, dared to ask. He faced this same terrifying chasm, this same gnawing doubt, but he had the courage to voice it directly. What happens to all non-believers? His journey, often public and fraught with personal cost, has made him an unyielding sentinel of faith, someone whose wrestling with angels and demons gives weight to such an inquiry. When a man of his conviction poses such a question to the divine, the answer, when it comes, isn't just a theory. It's an unvarnished truth, a revelation so profound, so devastating, it shattered his heart. And it might just shatter yours too. This unspoken weight, this gnawing anxiety, isn't unique to those who ponder the fate of non-believers. It's a universal tremor that runs through the very bedrock of human existence. Who among us hasn't stared into the quiet, vast expanse of a night sky, or watched the last breath leave a loved one's body and felt the chilling whisper of ultimate finality? The empty chair at the dinner table, the fading scent of a cherished sweater, the silence where laughter once bloomed. These aren't just personal losses, but stark reminders of our shared mortality. We cling to memories, desperate to hold onto echoes of what once was, even as the relentless current of time pulls them further away. Haven't we all, at some point, grappled with this profound silence, this terrifying question of what happens when the light goes out, for all of us, regardless of our convictions? It's a question that transcends creeds, touching the raw nerve of our collective vulnerability. Beyond the stark reality of death, there's the relentless march of time, eroding every moment, every achievement, every carefully constructed legacy. We strive for purpose, don't we? We pour our hearts into careers, nurture relationships, build families, all with an underlying desperate hope that our lives will matter, that they will leave an indelible mark against the backdrop of eternity. But then, suffering strikes. An illness, an unforeseen tragedy, the crushing weight of injustice, and suddenly, the fragility of it all becomes terrifyingly clear. You've felt it, haven't you? That gut-wrenching question, why? Why this pain, this unfairness, if there's a loving hand guiding the universe? Does our fleeting existence truly count for nothing more than a brief flicker before the engulfing darkness? Or is there a deeper meaning, a purpose woven into the very fabric of our being that transcends the visible? This isn't just about theological debates or abstract concepts of judgment. It's about the profoundly human ache for connection, for belonging, for an ultimate embrace that promises peace. We fear separation, not just from a divine source, but from the very souls we cherish, those who walk beside us, but perhaps see the world through a different lens. The chasm of uncertainty isn't merely a gap in our understanding. It's a visceral fear of a desolate void, a future where love itself might be fractured by divergent paths. We all share this vulnerability, this yearning for a truth that brings comfort, not despair, a hope that binds us together rather than tearing us apart. Are we not all, in our deepest selves, searching for a way home, a sanctuary where every soul finds its rightful place, where the questions finally cease and true belonging begins? The turning point arrived not in a flash of lightning, but in the hushed, almost reverent confession of a cherished friend. We sat across from each other, coffee cooling between us, as he, a man whose intellect I deeply admired and whose kindness was unwavering, gently articulated his profound atheism. His words, devoid of malice yet firm in their conviction, settled over me like a sudden, chilling fog. I saw the genuine peace in his eyes, a peace I struggled to reconcile with my own fervent beliefs, and a cold dread tightened in my chest. That night, lying awake beneath the oppressive weight of the silence, his face, so vivid and alive, yet to my mind spiritually adrift, became an insistent, haunting image. A raw, guttural plea tore from my soul, echoing Mel Gibson's own desperate cry. What happens to them, Lord? To souls so good, yet so fundamentally lost? This wasn't just a question. It was a desperate, visceral ache, a trigger that tore open the comforting illusions and propelled me into an agonizing search for a truth that could either mend or irrevocably shatter my understanding. After that agonizing night, the weight of my friend's confession propelled me into a frantic search for answers, a desperate attempt to mend the tear in my spiritual fabric. I devoured theological texts, poring over ancient doctrines and contemporary apologetics, hoping to find a clear, definitive explanation for the fate of non-believers. Each page, however, seemed to offer only more intricate arguments, more nuanced interpretations, but no true solace. I engaged in earnest conversations with trusted mentors, their voices gentle, their wisdom profound, yet even their assurances felt like echoes in a vast, empty hall. The intellectual gymnastics were exhausting, the rationalizations unsatisfying, leaving me with a hollow ache rather than the peace I craved. Hadn't countless souls wrestled with this very conundrum before me, their prayers rising like incense, their minds seeking logic in the divine? Yet for me, the chasm remained, wide and unyielding, stubbornly defying every human attempt to bridge it. The frustration mounted with each passing day, like a relentless tide eroding the shore of my certainty. I found myself in endless internal debates, replaying arguments, dissecting scripture, trying to force the pieces of my faith into a coherent picture that accounted for both God's boundless love and his unwavering justice. My mind spun with hypotheticals. What if salvation was broader than I'd been taught? What if good deeds truly mattered more than articulated belief? These mental gymnastics offered fleeting comfort, like a warm blanket on a freezing night, but they never truly dispelled the cold dread. The air around me often felt thick with unspoken questions, the quiet moments punctuated by the insistent whisper of doubt. Could there truly be an answer that satisfied the yearning in my soul? Or was I doomed to forever wrestle with this profound, unsettling ambiguity, leaving me feeling utterly exposed and vulnerable? I remember walking through a bustling market one afternoon, the vibrant smells of spices and fresh produce, the cacophony of voices, all blurring into an overwhelming sensory assault. Yet, amidst the lively chaos, my mind remained fixed on that singular, tormenting question. Every face I saw, the laughing child, the weary vendor, the couple holding hands, became a silent query. Where do they stand in the grand tapestry of eternity? This wasn't just about my friend anymore. It was about everyone, about the universality of our human condition and the profound implications of belief, or the lack thereof. The world, once a place of simple, everyday joys, now felt charged with a deeper, more urgent significance, a relentless reminder of the stakes. My own resources, my intellect, my fervent prayers, all felt woefully inadequate, crumbling under the weight of this cosmic dilemma. The peace I desperately sought remained elusive, a distant shimmer on a horizon I couldn't reach, underscoring the undeniable need for a higher, more profound intervention. The relentless tide of questions had finally receded, leaving me stranded on a barren shore of exhaustion and despair. My fervent prayers had felt like whispers lost in a vast, indifferent cosmos, and my intellectual pursuits, mere intellectual gymnastics, offered no true anchor. One evening, as twilight bled across the window pane, painting the room in hues of bruised purple and fading gold, I sat, utterly spent, the weight of the world pressing down. The silence was not peaceful, but a heavy blanket suffocating any residual hope, making every breath a conscious effort. My friend's gentle atheism, once a sharp wound, had festered into a dull, persistent ache, entwined now with the fate of countless others. Was I truly alone in this agonizing search, this desperate yearning for a truth that could reconcile boundless love with apparent, eternal loss? The air itself seemed to vibrate with the unspoken, the unseen, pulling me into a deeper, more profound void of uncertainty. It was then, in that profound stillness, that a different image began to form, not a vision, but a powerful, empathetic resonance. I saw him, Mel Gibson, not on a screen, but in a space of raw, spiritual vulnerability, much like his own Gethsemane. His face, etched with a lifetime of wrestling with angels and demons, appeared before my mind's eye not as a judge, but as a fellow pilgrim, a compassionate mentor who had walked this very chasm. His eyes, though weary, held an unyielding conviction, a quiet strength forged in the crucible of his own profound inquiry. What happens to all non-believers? I felt a strange comfort in his imagined presence, a sense of shared suffering that transcended time and space. Hadn't he, too, faced the terrifying silence, the desolate void that haunted my own soul, daring to ask the question we all secretly dread? His unspoken presence, a silent testament to a journey far more arduous than my own, began to dissolve the suffocating weight of my isolation. It was as if his unwavering faith, hardened by fire, extended a lifeline across the abyss of my doubt, not to pull me back to old comforts, but to prepare me for a deeper, more challenging truth. I realized I wasn't seeking mere solace anymore. I was seeking an unvarnished reality, however stark, however devastating. The air around me seemed to thicken, not with dread, but with an almost sacred anticipation, a feeling that the veil was about to be torn, revealing a landscape far grander and more complex than I had ever dared to imagine. This mentor, though imagined, instilled in me a quiet courage, a readiness to confront the abyss of a discovery that would transform everything. And so, the profound, heart-wrenching truths began to unfold, not as a list of condemnations, but as a deep, sorrowful understanding of divine reality, echoing the very essence of Mel Gibson's encounter. The imagined presence of that battle-hardened sentinel solidified into a profound, almost palpable understanding within me. It wasn't a booming voice from the heavens, but a gentle, yet undeniably firm whisper, a truth revealed not through grand pronouncements, but through an overwhelming surge of divine perspective, a glimpse into the very heart of God's justice and mercy. This was the moment the world shifted, where comfortable illusions began to fall away, not violently, but with the quiet dignity of a veil slowly lifting, revealing a landscape far grander and more complex than I had ever dared to imagine. This wasn't a judgment, it was a profound empathy for a divine reality, transforming everything. The first truth, stark and unvarnished, spoke of the chasm of choice. Jesus revealed that the heartbreak isn't in God's judgment, but in humanity's uncoerced decision to turn away from the very source of life itself. Imagine standing at the edge of an infinite, life-giving ocean, yet choosing to walk inland, away from its sustaining embrace, feeling the salt spray on your face one last time before turning your back. This isn't a minor oversight, but a profound, self-imposed detachment from the divine current that intricately sustains all existence, seen and unseen. It's the conscious, often subtle, severing of the most vital connection, a quiet rebellion against the very love that birthed us. Can you feel the weight of such a choice? The subtle chill that begins to creep into the soul when it deliberately disengages from its ultimate purpose, its truest home. This isn't a punitive act from a distant deity, but the natural, devastating consequence of a path freely chosen. Then came the paradox, a truth that held both boundless comfort and sobering gravity. God's love is infinite, extended to every single soul, reaching into the deepest shadows with relentless pursuit, like a shepherd tirelessly seeking one lost lamb. Yet, his justice is equally true, an unyielding grip that recognizes and honors every decision, every turning point in a life, for true love cannot negate the reality of choice. The divine gift of free will, that precious, terrifying liberty, means we possess the profound freedom to reject the ultimate embrace, to choose a path away from the divine heart. And this choice, this sacred freedom, carries an eternal weight, a consequence woven into the very fabric of existence. Is it not a testament to true love that it allows for such profound, even heartbreaking autonomy, respecting our autonomy above all else? This isn't a capricious act, but the sacred respect for the very essence of what it means to be truly free. The revelation continued, focusing on the intimate whisper of conscience within each of us. We are not judged by what we could not possibly know, by obscure doctrines or inaccessible texts, but by the light we received, by the quiet, persistent whispers of our inner conscience. Every human heart, regardless of creed or culture, possesses an innate sense of right and wrong, a glimmer of truth made manifest in the beauty of the world, in acts of kindness, in the universal yearning for meaning and connection. It's a gentle, ever-present invitation, a pathway illuminated by the very presence of truth around us, a silent testament to a loving Creator. Have you ever felt that quiet nudge, that inner knowing, guiding you towards compassion, towards what is good and true? It's a universal language, spoken in the soul's deepest chambers, a beacon shining through the fog of daily life. The most heart-wrenching truth of all spoke of the agony of the unclaimed soul. It revealed that the profound heartbreak, the deep sorrow, is for the potential lost, the divine inheritance left tragically unclaimed, the eternal feast untasted. Imagine a banquet prepared with infinite love, every dish a delight, every seat reserved, yet some choose not to enter, remaining outside in the cold, observing the warmth and light from a distance. God's heart, far from being cold or indifferent, deeply grieves over every soul that chooses a path leading away from eternal joy, from the very home it was designed for. You've felt the pang of loss for a loved one, haven't you? That ache of what might have been, the dreams unfulfilled, the words unspoken. Multiply that by an infinite, perfect love, and you begin to glimpse the divine sorrow, a profound weeping for every lost child. This sorrowful understanding then pivoted, becoming an urgent call to action, resonating with a profound, almost desperate need. Jesus' answer wasn't a decree of damnation, but a profound amplification of the urgent, desperate need for believers to be bridges, to extend hands across the chasm, to share the good news, to intercede with fervent, unwavering prayer. The path to life, while specific and requiring a turning, is paradoxically open to all who genuinely seek it, who yearn for that connection, who respond to the light they have received, however faint. It's a narrow gate, yes, but its welcoming arms are universal, beckoning every searching heart that dares to look beyond its current horizon. This isn't about exclusive clubs, but about a clear, compassionate direction for a journey home, offered freely to every soul. Finally, the ultimate revelation crystallized, centered on the cross as the ultimate plea. Every drop of Christ's blood spilled in agony on Calvary stands as an eternal testament to God's relentless pursuit, a final, unanswerable argument for boundless love and salvation. It is a divine "I love you" whispered across time, a profound sacrifice offered for every single soul, a cosmic embrace for all who would accept. And the central shattering truth Mel Gibson gleaned, the one that breaks the heart of God and, by extension, ours, is this: the greatest tragedy is not that God condemns, but that He, in His infinite love, permits us the freedom to condemn ourselves, and His heart breaks with every soul that chooses this path. It's not a God of wrath reveling in judgment, but a God of boundless love, weeping over the consequences of a freedom He Himself bestowed, a love unrequited, a home unentered. The profound anguish that once felt like a crippling burden, a gnawing anxiety for those who walk without the light of faith, now revealed itself not as a curse but as a sacred gift, a divine imprint. This shattering truth, the realization that God's heart breaks with every soul that chooses to condemn itself, was not meant to paralyze me with despair, but to awaken a deeper empathy. My own ache, the tightness in my chest when I pictured my friend, became a mirror reflecting the infinite sorrow of the Creator, a sorrow so vast, so perfect, it could only belong to boundless love. Can you truly separate compassion from grief when faced with such profound, self-imposed separation? This shared vulnerability, this deep human capacity to mourn what is lost, became the bridge, connecting my fragile heart directly to the grieving heart of God, transforming fear into a profound, shared sorrow. This agonizing empathy, once a weakness that threatened to unravel my own faith, now ignited a fierce, undeniable purpose. It was a divine sign, a potent call to action, transforming the chilling silence of uncertainty into a vibrant, urgent directive. If God weeps for every lost child, if His love relentlessly pursues, then our own heartbreak is not an end, but a beginning, a mandate to become His hands, His voice, His persistent echo in a world that often turns away. The dangerous discovery was not that non-believers are condemned by a vengeful God, but that they are profoundly missed, deeply longed for, by a God whose love is an unceasing, tender plea. Does this not reframe every interaction, every shared moment, as an opportunity to reflect that boundless, pleading love? The ultimate catharsis arrived with this reframing. The problem was never God's capacity for love, but humanity's capacity for self-exclusion and our role in bridging that chasm. My initial torment for non-believers transformed into a potent, compassionate fire, a realization that my purpose was not to fear their fate, but to actively, urgently, and lovingly invite them to the feast. The raw, unvarnished truth that broke Mel Gibson's heart and mine was not a condemnation, but an empowering revelation of divine sorrow, a call to participate in God's relentless pursuit. This isn't about judgment. It's about the profound, eternal embrace offered freely and the heartbreaking freedom to decline it. We are called to be the living testament to a love that never gives up, even when faced with the deepest, most sorrowful, unrequited choice. So what does this profound, heartbreaking truth truly mean for your daily walk, for the ache you carry, for those you cherish who see the world differently? It means transforming that gnawing anxiety not into paralyzing fear, but into a powerful, compassionate purpose. Every interaction, every shared laugh, every quiet moment with a loved one becomes an opportunity. You're invited to reflect God's boundless love, not through judgment or forced conversion, but through genuine presence and unwavering empathy. Let your life be a living, breathing testament to the joy and peace found in connection to the divine. This isn't about grand gestures, but about the subtle, consistent acts of kindness, the patient listening, and the authentic joy that radiates from a heart deeply connected. Your unwavering love, your very presence, can become a gentle invitation, a silent echo of the persistent, tender plea from a God whose heart truly breaks for every soul. And so, as the last shadows of doubt recede, a new dawn breaks within the soul, not with blinding light, but with a soft, persistent glow, illuminating the path forward. The terrifying chasm of uncertainty, once a desolate void, is now revealed as a sacred space, a landscape where divine sorrow and boundless love intertwine. My heart, once shattered by the revelation of humanity's freedom to choose separation, now beats with a renewed purpose, an urgent, compassionate rhythm. You too are invited to carry this light, to become an echo of God's relentless pursuit, a living bridge for those still walking in the quiet, profound darkness. Let your life be a testament, a whispered invitation, a gentle beacon reflecting the infinite, grieving love that yearns for every soul to find its way home, into the eternal embrace. As you carry these truths, these profound insights into divine sorrow and boundless love, what resonates most deeply within your own soul? Perhaps it's the quiet ache for a loved one, the echo of that unspoken question, what happens to them? Or maybe it's the fierce, newfound purpose to become a bridge, a beacon of that relentless love. This journey of understanding, born from the raw vulnerability of a man like Mel Gibson and echoed in the grieving heart of God, is not meant to be walked alone. It is a shared pilgrimage, a collective grappling with the deepest mysteries of existence. I wonder, as these words settle within you, what time is it for you right now, in your corner of this vast, interconnected world? And what question about faith has truly broken your heart, only to rebuild it with a deeper, more compassionate understanding?